Countdown to Kickoff is supported by and brought to you by Saltire Energy, the global market leader in specialist drilling equipment rental. And my sponsor, Craig International, would just like to take this opportunity to thank everybody who came to stand G7 over the past 3 days and visited the gang down there at the AOG Energy at the Perth Exhibition Centre and Conference Centre. So thank you so much to everybody who went along and met my sponsors, Craig International. Next up for the Dons, it's another huge must-win game. We now travel to Motherwell, who have won 2 on the spin. It's a massive Scottish Premiership game. Kickoff at Fir Park is at 3 o'clock. To put the game into context for you, we are currently only 3 points off a relegation playoff spot. Ross County have a very difficult home game against third place Hearts. We are only a point behind St Johnstone, but they take on Celtic. So there could be movement. We, of course, could edge ever closer to Motherwell. Hibs take on bottom side Livingston. There is so much at stake. Hi everybody, how are you doing? A very good evening and a very warm welcome this Friday night to Ali Beg AB TV here on YouTube. So this is a live show, so you have your opportunity to leave your thoughts and your comments about what's been going on at Pittodrie in the past couple of days, and obviously about tomorrow's big game against Motherwell at Fir Park. So as always, just to reiterate, be respectful to each other if you wouldn't mind. We're trying to build a safe haven here for fans who can come and leave their comments without fear of retribution from others who hide behind usernames and passwords. And also, if you wouldn't mind, don't use bad language as well. It just helps with YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So I will do my best to get through most of your comments tonight. And of course, feel free to interact with each other. A little bit later, I'm going to be joined by a huge Aberdeen fan, and I'm sure you've heard of Terry McDermott. So Terry's a local lad from Aberdeen and found fame on the US version of The Voice television show, where he did unbelievably well a few years ago and was absolutely robbed at the last minute. He should have won it because he was absolutely and is absolutely outstanding. Lead singer of a band called Lotus Crush. So Terry joins me a little bit later from New Orleans to give us his thoughts on the current goings on at Pittodrie, and we'll just do our normal bits and pieces to get into the game. Just before we do that, I just want to thank Michael Watson, who has recently signed up to the ABTV membership scheme. So Michael, thank you so much for your financial contribution and commitment to the channel. It shall be put into the business going forward for what will be the start of the new season. So we're looking to revamp, reshape, rechange, freshen things up, and your contributions to my membership scheme is very much helping me do that. So thank you so much, Michael. Please reach out to me if you can, because I would like to personally thank you as well and have a little chat over Zoom. So to tomorrow's game. I'm very much liking what Peter Leven is saying in his pre-match press conferences. But before we get to that, I'm going to try and predict the team, because I think the team is vitally important, obviously. But I think he'll make a couple of changes. And where I think he'll make the changes is in the back four. So I think Stefan Gartenmann should drop out. And I think Richard Jensen will come in and take his place. I also think that Connor will drop out, because Connor did not have the best of games against Dundee. And I think Leighton Clarkson will be a direct swap for him. So that's what I think the team will be. I think we'll play the same formation as we did against Dundee. So basically 4-2-3-1 with Bojan up top. And I really hope we can supply more balls to Bojan to give him a chance to get on the score sheet. So this is what Peter Leven had to say. I've picked out just 2 or 3 quotes from the press conference today. We had a meeting the next day, as in after the Dundee game. There were some home truths. The players had a meeting themselves. They've got to prove to themselves and to the fans how good they are. The fans pay their hard-earned cash to come and watch us. They travel all over. A lot of them won't get back until late at night after the game, and then they're up for work the next morning. They are paying their cash. They expect better, and the players know that. So I have to say, to me, that was a breath of fresh air. I'm absolutely delighted he came out and he said it, because these players need to be told. And I would also just very quickly take an opportunity to thank you for the astonishing viewing figures after the Dundee game. So basically the review game that came out yesterday, the viewing figures in less than 24 hours have absolutely blown my mind. So thank you. And I'm so pleased that a lot of you picked up on the point about the livelihoods of people who work in and around Pittodrie and the effect, the huge financial impact it could have on so many members of staff if Aberdeen were to get relegated, which of course is a reality, but also in the same breath, absolutely unthinkable. And I really hope that that message, not mine, absolutely nothing to do with me, not mine, but I hope the message of the gravity of what could happen to so many people is being drummed home to these players. I hope they've been hit about their heads with a big, large stick about that, so that they fully understand and fully appreciate what they have to do to ensure the future of so many people. So all I think I'm personally asking for when we come to the Motherwell game is show us that you have the fight. Show us that you are proud to play for Aberdeen, and show us that you have character to get us out of trouble. Because at the moment, so many people are doubting that character. So prove us wrong. I would like nothing more than to sit here and eat humble pie if you prove us wrong. So do it. That is the objective. Just think about it. It's going to be tough, I think, tomorrow. It's going to be really sticky. Stuart Kettlewell is all of a sudden there's a sort of a mini resurgence going on there. They've obviously won their last 2 games. Our record there recently has not been too bad. I'll get to the stats a little bit later. But what we'll do is let's get Terry on first of all. So let me just clear some space so that I can get Terry on. And then we'll hear from him first. And then we'll get rid of all the other bits and pieces. And then I'll open it up to you guys. So Terry's interview is roughly 8 minutes long. But I really hope you enjoy the chat between the two of us. Welcome to the show, Terry McDermott, huge Dons fan, all the way from New Orleans. Hi Terry, mate. It's great to see you as always. Thank you for jumping on. Hope you're keeping well.
Thanks for having me, mate. Good to see you.
Absolute pleasure, mate, as always. Right, I'm just gonna fire straight in. Give me your own personal opinion on where we are at as a football club at this current moment.
The ambition of the club has been laid out very clearly. You know, effectively a manifesto from the club, and I think you have to start by looking at the pros. Obviously, we are doing well in our selling players and generating cash, and our youth team apparently is winning plaudits. So we're obviously doing some things right. In terms of meeting up to the level of expectation, we are failing thunderously. It is obviously a period of disillusionment for Aberdeen fans everywhere. I talk to people back in Scotland constantly on long-time season ticket holders, friends who've the club is their life, and I think the problem is that we're struggling to remember a time when the team really showed so little heart Even I think in '99, when I would argue the club as a playing team was really, really difficult to watch, we still had some characters in that team that maybe you could say we don't have at the moment. Even in '95, when we flirted with relegation, you look at that lineup, and that really is a mystery as to how that group of players ended up in the position they were. Now, look down the list of players we've got at the moment, and I think we're in very, very serious trouble, and it has to be taken seriously. And I think, moreover, when you're looking down that lineup and you're watching the players perform the way they have been, you're asking, can they turn this around? Do they have do they have the strength of character to collectively, as a group, find some direction? And we know they can do it. We saw them doing it against Kilmarnock, but I think it is really is on brand for the way our season has been that they managed to give that performance against Kilmarnock, and it just so happens to be the day that Warnock's walking out the door.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good look either. It's like, what's the benchmark for getting out of bed and doing your job properly? Maybe that's a little harsh. I'm sure the players are hurting. I don't think any footballer will be on that field and not feel that their pride's being hurt, their professional pride's being hurt. But that doesn't alter where we are. And they're the ones that have to find the answers. We can't, as fans, we can't do it. The chairman can't do it. The backroom staff can't do it. The players have to collectively find a way out of this. And I think the general feeling for everyone is, can they? Can they? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Watching that team play, that last game was just abysmal. Abysmal.
Mm. Um, I mean, again, I've spoken about it on the show a couple of times, mate, and it's been really fascinating reading a lot of the fans' comments on the social media pages about it's now up to us, the fans, to get this group of lads over the line and try to do our very best to help them by not getting on their backs, not booing them, because that just it sets a seed of doubt in their minds, and
Yeah,
any sort of negativity coming their way could have a detrimental effect to the way that they perform on the day or the night.
absolutely.
But mate, I've never doubted the fans' commitment, and I've never ever doubted that the fans will 100% continue to get behind the team because we know we have to.
There
But
was
there
there was
is
3,000 fans, 3,000
yes,
fans
yeah.
at that Dundee game.
But my point is here, mate, is that we can only do so much. We can only help them so much. It's up to these players to get
Yeah,
themselves over the line. And when I hear in press conferences that they say they're not quite sure why things aren't quite coming together, that boils my blood, because it's your job to know why things are not quite going right on the field of
yeah,
play, and it's up to you as a collective, as in the team, to sort it out.
absolutely. When I worked for the club but around the time I started, it was the Eb Skodal period,
Hmm.
and we made we could very well be about to mirror the achievement of that year, which is get to two cup finals. I mean, that'd be a miracle, but get to two cup finals and flirt with relegation. And I personally remember, conversations with Ebby, and he wasn't shy about showing it, about the real struggle he was having implementing his ideas with the Scottish players. That disconnect ended up costing him his job. They simply couldn't implement the system he wanted. I think we have an even larger problem at the moment, which is for the last few months, these players have been asked to play differently, different systems, and start from scratch on too many occasions. I think Warnock coming in wasn't necessarily the worst idea, and I say that because Warnock had a track record of losing a lot of games when he came into a club, but then turning it around.
Hmm.
But the fact that he felt the need to leave after he just got us into the Scottish Cup semi-final and walk away, and then we have to go back to zero and change the system again and the playing personnel to another manager or interim managers needs. It's really hard to not get enormously frustrated with the process, because I do feel for the players in this regard. Where is the leadership? Where is the focal point? Where is the voice coming down that's hammering the point to them? It's like we're chopping and changing far too much, and I feel for Peter leaving.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure how, you could see the desperation. I'm not sure how he motivates the players, but you're quite right. Despite all those issues, ultimately, the people that have to do something about it are the players. And we're going to find, well, we're we 24 hours away now, 24 hours away from, I mean, it's hard to overemphasize how important this 3 points is.
I, I, I'm at the stage now where I'm actually starting to get worried for the livelihoods of people that work at that football club and who
Yes.
have worked at that football club for a number of years.
Yeah.
Oh my God, mate, it terrifies me.
You know,
Watching that.
it's tough having to wear two hats on the subject, but I mean, you know, as an Aberdeen fan, the club's so close to my heart. You know, having worked for them and you know my first love, so to speak. But you get emotional about it, of course you do, and especially after a game like we just witnessed, of course you're emotional. But I've said this to a few fans, and you know, it's not a popular point of view, and it's maybe not what people want to hear, but the people that are working at the club, and I know this from experience, they're working very long hours. They're completely dedicated to the cause. They really, really believe in the red and white, and they're hurting too. They are. It's impossibly frustrating to be at the football club when things are not going right because it is felt from the very top down to the very bottom. So I don't doubt there's no lack of effort. You know what I mean. There's nobody that's not pulling their weight for the cause. I'm quite sure. It's just that we may be at the point where there is going to have to be changes. You know, doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, there's a word for that, and we have to break out of this cycle. And I know there's been a lot of managers talked about, and I think at this point we just need someone that's going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. Mate, thank you for jumping on.
Yeah,
I really
thanks for
appreciate
having
your
me.
time. Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Love having you on as always. And here's hoping for 3 big points at Fair Park. And yeah, here's just hoping full stop.
Oh God, it's the hope that kills you, mate.
I know, mate. Oh, don't. Jeez, oh. Mate, have a lovely weekend.
Okay, you too, mate.
Speak
Cheers.
to you soon. Ta-da. Now, there is a singer. Go and check him out. Aberdeen have won their last 2 away league games against Motherwell and could win 3 in a row at Fair Park for only the 3rd time this century. Motherwell have won both of their last 2 Premiership matches and could win 3 in a row for the first time since September 2023. The Dons are winless across their last 6 league games played on a Saturday. The man in the middle is Willie Collum, and on VAR is Steve McLean. What a combination. Here's your weather. It's going to be 6 degrees come 3 o'clock in Motherwell tomorrow, with the low being 6 degrees, the high being 9, and they're expecting wind at normal levels. If you're enjoying tonight's show, I'd be absolutely thrilled, if you haven't already done so, subscribing to the channel here on YouTube. We are growing every single day, and we have passed 3,300 subscribers, and now the next milestone for me personally would be to get to 3,500. So thank you for your continued support. I keep banging that drum, and I shall continue to bang it. Right. Enough of me. Let's hear from you guys. Let's see what you've got to say. So Gordon Keith Ritchie is on saying, good evening all. I don't know where to start. We need to win and get behind the team. I know it's not easy to get behind the team as we're poor, but let's get behind them anyway and get the points. Come on, you Reds. Graham Gibb has said, fans on Wednesday were fantastic. I have no worries the support will get behind the team, but it could turn nasty if they are as awful as the Dundee game. Ewan Grant has said, I can only hope the penny has dropped with the players and we see a reaction tomorrow. If Dundee was meant to be the reaction, brace for the playoffs. The Musical Box has said, we've been hearing this all season. They should have sorted themselves out months ago. Graham Gibb went on to say, Dundee was so bad that form would have us below Livingston. There was nothing from us. David Gold has said, good evening, Dandies. Not feeling too positive ahead of this one. I hope they can prove me wrong. Laurel 101 has said the worst thing is they showed against Killie they could play properly, but 3 days later they were honking. How do you combat that? Maximus 3646 has quite simply said, come on you Reds. David Gold has said, whoever the new manager is, it has to be someone who gets inside players' heads. Make them believe. Maximus 3646 came back to say, everybody behind the team until the final whistle. Oh, I think there's no danger about that. Baz Strachan has wished everyone a good evening. Yeah, scary and a sad state when we go into Motherwell away, already thinking the worst. A Saturday miracle, please, Dandies, and 3 massive points. Sager Saturn Lad has said, good evening. The fact Warnock has left thinking it's not worth it speaks volumes. Paul C. Riki says, I'll be watching from behind a cushion. Terry McDermott has come on fit like, he says. We're good, mate, especially after watching your interview. Kevin Main has said, good evening, Ali. Every player needs to put in a shift tomorrow as Wednesday was unacceptable. I said the other night the Ross County game is now our cup final and I stand by that. John Moore has said, surely try a 4-4-2 tomorrow. Barron out, Dante in. Majowski so isolated, and someone said he hasn't scored since we reverted to one up top. So he's not scored in 7 games. And honestly, I've seen a little bit of some very negative comments towards him on social media. Guys, come on. You know, just think where we would be without his goals. Seriously. Don't be giving him a hard time. Billy Johnson has said a must-win game to try and arrest this abysmal form and try to retrieve something from this season and might make things a bit more attractive for a potential new manager. Sega Saturn Lad has said Warnock saw the aggro coming and thought, I'm out of here. Have a feeling he might be proven right, unfortunately. Roy Thompson has said, love your channel and your usual positivity, Ali, despite our poor form. Thank you, Roy. Much, much appreciated. Paul Donaldson is here. Hi, Paul. Not looking forward to tomorrow very much, but now is the time where we have to turn things around. We've already scored 7 against them this season. I can see a high-scoring game tomorrow. He finishes off by saying, just need to make sure we concede less than they do. Ideally, a clean sheet. But Musical Box says, we don't do clean sheets. Oh, God. Graham Klein has said, we need a win. Hope they don't give up. Something about a YouTube advert is rather fitting. I've not seen it, so I don't know, mate. Roy Thompson has said, I would like a midfield 3 of Duncan, Shinnie and Phillips and the height of Sokla and Majowski up front and play our most physical team. Yeah, I also have no issues with that. Fraser Mackey said, I know Leven didn't want the pressure first time, but can't help but feel he would have got more in the last of 6 to 7 games. Boo Boo 1903 has said, agree with you that Barron needs to be dropped. He clearly doesn't want to be at the club and we need every player fully committed in these games. Derek Griffiths has said, I said this for the last few games. We need to get points on the board. If relegation doesn't give these players a fright, nothing will. I will be at Fair Park to cheer the lads on. Graham Gibbs said, no player from Wednesday could complain about being dropped. Not one got pass marks in our team. Barron had a bad game and he is an Aberdeen fan. Transmission GGB says, this is a huge reality. Okay, so... Sorry, just sorting out a couple of the messages here. Right, let's get back to it. You know, there's a few of you have actually said, you know, that you've actually really debated with yourselves and that you're struggling with your own emotions about renewing season tickets and DNA, which I totally get. Kevin Maynard says, we've not kicked a ball since we got Cormac Park. Time to get them back down to the beach with a wind chill of -10 to toughen up the running through the sand dunes. Get them down to Balmedy or Newborough Beach, let me tell you. Then they'll start playing. Trust me. Been there, done that a million times. The Musical Box said the players are not pulling their weight. That is for sure. Scott Barron makes an interesting point, and again, you know, I genuinely, I've seen a couple of these comments, mate, and I'm just as baffled as you are that some fans are willing relegation. But you know, I take a lot of this with a pinch of salt, and I do think a lot of these are sort of made up accounts and just people playing skullduggery. Transmission GGB says get them in the North Sea for training again. Malk Gordon has said, Ali, what do you think about the lack of communication from our chairman? So, Mark, I've got to be honest, it's not just a lack of communication from the chairman, it's a lack of communication full stop. And when that communication does come out, it's extremely poor. And it has to improve because, like I said in previous shows, you know, the statement that came out on Saturday was poorly written. It was left open to interpretation and left too many people confused. And it also left some people with a lot of hope. And then on Monday, we were kicked in the teeth because we were then told that the interview process hadn't even started and it was only going to start this week. So again, you know, when you put statements out, and forgive me for repeating myself and for saying what I've already said on the channel, but statements should never be left open to interpretation. Never. Because all it does is set tongues wagging. And that's exactly what happened. And it put the fan base in a completely confused state of mind. Do you know what I mean? Really, really poor. Maximus3646 reminds us that we haven't won in the league since the 2nd of January. Relegation is on the cards. I'm sorry. Oh, mate, listen, we're all with you. Don't worry about it. Grey Pilgrim has said, Hayes and Polvara are two players who will put in a shift and keep grafting for 90 minutes. That's the attitude we need. Some of our starters need a seat on the bench to watch how it's done. Neil Strachan has said, the players need to show us that they love and are passionate about our club. And I wouldn't play Rus or Miovski. I would play Duhan and Sokla from now until the end of the season. Terry McDermott came back on, and I know he's only kidding on. He says it would be useful if Colum and McLean could let us know the night before when they'll be giving a penalty for a dubious handball against us. It would save a bit of time. Gavin Nicholson said, instead of checking for the Aberdeen result on Saturday at 4:45, I'm now looking for the Ross County result first, praying they've been beaten, as our only hope of staying up is that they keep doing worse than us. Do you know, there is 100% an argument to that. Neil Strachan has said, come on, you Reds. Transmission GGB says, fans do not want relegation. It's one of the two great things about this club is that we've never been relegated, and Europe 83. James Brown has said, really feel we'll turn it around and climb the table, even if it's just a wee bit. Come on, you Reds. Erica Mitchell's wishing everyone a good evening. I hope very much we can win this tomorrow. Please, she said. David Gold said, Miovski is our biggest asset. He needs proper service on his game and with the service. He's the best striker in the league. The Mad Ferret says, would be screwed without Bojan's goals. Okay. Chilling says, going parachuting this weekend. A loss might see me forgetting to take the parachute. Or pull the ripcord. I love how you guys still have a sense of humour. It really keeps me going. And some of your messages and some of your replies, to messages, somebody said to me on my Facebook channel, on my Facebook page today, Ali, you should go in and sing to them before a game, or threaten to sing to them before a game. That'll get them playing. The fear of me going in and singing to them ahead of a game. Tomorrow is the 16th of March, and it's obviously a very significant day in the club's history. So 10 years ago, we won the League Cup at Celtic Park. Oh God, what a day that was. Flew in from Qatar, went with my brother, my father-in-law, and it turned out to be an absolutely phenomenal day. but it's just 10 years ago. Can you believe it? I just can't believe how time has flown since then. A very emotional day. I'll never forget, just before Adam's penalty, I just grabbed my brother, because he was stood beside me, and then Ziggy, my father-in-law, was sort of on the other side. And I just grabbed my brother by his arm, just squeezed his arm, and I looked up to the heavens, and I just said to my late father, please let him score, Dad. And he did. And of course, the whole place went absolutely mental. What a great day it was. So I'm hoping to get, in fact, because while we were on air, and this sounds like I'm showing off here, and I'm not. I'm really not. But I asked Russell Anderson if he would come and do the show, the review show on Sunday, to just have a reminisce, and to talk about his foundation. And he said yes. So we're looking to interview him on Sunday. He's just confirmed it. Brilliant. So looking at Sunday afternoon to interview him. It'll be a pre-recorded interview, and I'll bring that to you on Sunday on the review show. And also on the 16th of March, back in 1983, we beat a certain Bayern Munich at Pittodrie. And it was, of course, deemed as Pittodrie's greatest night. And like the cup final, I was very fortunate to be at Pittodrie that night. And what I do now, and I really hope that this resonates with those of you who have lost parents, who used to go to football with your parents, I use games like this to remember my parents, who have both passed on now. And I just laugh every time. I just smile every time I think about John Hewitt's winning goal. Because my mum at the time, she went bananas, which was brilliant. And I remember my dad just punching through, screaming at the top of his voice. But I missed the bloody goal because of a pillar. We were sat in the main stand, and I couldn't see it, so I didn't see it hit the back of the net. And I just I remember it vividly. The crowd, the place just went nuts. And it's very difficult to put into words how incredible the atmosphere was that night. It's, Gothenburg was special, but the Bayern Munich game for me was more special because it was at Pittodrie. And it's a game I will never, ever forget. Ever forget. I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. And I remember my dad having to explain the away goal rule to me at half time when we were queuing for a pie. And I couldn't quite work it out as a 10-year-old that away goals counted as double. A bit stupid if I'm being honest. So when Hans Flugler scored the second goal, and then we scored the equaliser, and then obviously got the winner, I couldn't understand what it meant, and my dad had to explain to me. He says, "We're winning the game, kiddo. We're winning the game, kiddo." And that's what he said to me, and I've never forgotten those words, because I now call my own boys kiddo whenever I speak to them, or whenever I text them. So, what a night it was. Honestly, it was just phenomenal. And what was brilliant about it was we were sat, we could only get tickets in the main stand because we usually used to sit in the south stand. So we got tickets in the main stand, and we were about 3 or 4 rows up from. So if you think where the tunnel is, and then just come up 3 or 4 rows from the tunnel, and then maybe about 5 or 6 seats in. So that's where we were. So it was the first time really that I can remember really seeing the players up close and personal. And I remember when they came in for their warm-up, waving to all of them as they came in, and I'm convinced that they all waved back to me personally. And it was just, what a night. It was just phenomenal. And people talk about John Hewitt's winning goal against Real Madrid and just the amazing memories, and when you get goosebumps. I'd get goosebumps just as much watching John Hewitt's winner against Bayern Munich. Bloody hell, what a night that was. Fantastic. So I'm finishing the show because I want to finish it on a high. I want us to finish, thinking about these wonderful moments in the football club's history. So lads, tomorrow, let's be positive, eh? Let's put all this nonsense behind us and go out and absolutely show us. Prove us all wrong, because we all doubt you. Yeah, we all doubt you. So come on, prove us all wrong. It's our challenge to you. And get yourselves out of trouble and get everybody else that works at that football club, that puts their heart and soul into that football club on a daily basis, who works the long hours, who sweats behind the scenes. Do it for them. Stand free. I'll see you Sunday for the review.